welcome to TPM Vid's Disney Beat, where we talk about all things Disney. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. We also have Instagram and Twitter. You can find us at TPM Videos. The Disney theme parks are full of history and secrets. From Disneyland in California to Walt Disney World in Florida, many tales have been told over the past decades about these magical places. But have you ever stopped for a moment to wonder if these tales are true? Can they actually take apart Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom? Do the animatronics just keep moving all night long once the park closes? And is that really Walt Disney on the Haunted Mansion? Well, all these questions plus many more will be answered today as we count down the top 7 Disney secrets and myths debunked. Number 7. The Golden Spike. At the end of Disneyland's Main Street lies the charming Sleeping Beauty Castle. Well, if you've walked through the castle into Fantasyland, you may have noticed this gold spike in the pavement. The longtime Disney myth is that this spike was placed here when the park was being built to represent the geographical center of the park. While getting this footage and drawing attention to the spike, we even heard someone walk by and tell the person they were with that this was the center of Disneyland. So is this piece of knowledge that's been passed around actually true? Well, let's take a look at this model of Disneyland. It can be found in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and depicts the park on opening day. At first glance, you can see Sleeping Beauty Castle is nowhere near the center of the park's boundaries. The hub where the partner statue is today looks to be much more central than the castle. Now fast forward to today, where the park has grown and expanded quite a bit since 1955. Even if you try to apply the center spike theory to the size of Disneyland today, the west side is still wider, which means that the castle and Main Street don't even split the park equally in half. So no, the gold spike under Sleeping Beauty Castle doesn't mark the geographical center of the park, and it's nothing other than a survey marker. These markers can be found all over the Disney parks, but this original Disneyland survey marker was used to align the center of the castle and drawbridge with Main Street. At the end of Main Street where the trolley tracks meet in Town Square, there's another survey marker that meets up with the one under the castle. If you're wondering where the center of Disneyland actually is today, well, it's somewhere around here, just across from the Fantasy Fair Theater off the hub. Number 6. Underground tunnels. A common secret that's widely talked about are the underground tunnels at Walt Disney World. These tunnels, known as utilidors, are very real and can be found under the Magic Kingdom in Florida, linking all areas of the park from one end to the other, fully underground. Well, actually, it's not really underground. Because of Florida's high water table, the tunnels were built on the ground floor and the theme park was built above it. Either way, the tunnels house things like electrical operations, cast member cafeterias, as well as storage warehouses. Now, it's believed that the underground tunnel system only exists in Florida, and this is partially true. Disneyland in California also has a world underground, but it's a small world. In Fantasyland and under New Orleans Square, there are spaces underground, but these areas could be considered more like basements, since they're isolated to that certain area in the park. The one true tunnel at Disneyland is in Tomorrowland. It extends from the backstage area behind Star Wars Launch Bay all the way to Pixie Hollow. It houses some offices, break rooms, and it's where the Tomorrowland Terrace stage lowers into for the performers. But none of these underground areas are as extensive as the utilidor system at Magic Kingdom. It's usually rare that cast members use them, since aside from the Tomorrowland tunnel, they can't really take you into a different area of the park. But the Disneyland tunnels do exist. Number 5. Walt's Busted. The graveyard scene in the Haunted Mansion at both Magic Kingdom and Disneyland is where you can find the iconic singing busts. The one myth that's been passed around quite a bit is that Walt Disney himself is this singing bust who lost his head. And sorry to break it to you, but it's not true. The singing busts were an original part of the Haunted Mansion when the attraction first opened at Disneyland in 1969, but Walt Disney passed away 3 years earlier in 1966. Although this character known as Uncle Theodore might have a slight resemblance to Walt Disney with his thin mustache, it's actually Thurl Ravenscroft. Thurl's booming bass voice can also be heard singing the lead vocal in the song. He was known for being the voice of Tony the Tiger for over 50 years.
They're great!
And you can also hear him on other Disney attractions. Fritz in the Tiki Room, as well as Buff in the Country Bear Jamboree, are also voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft. As for his singing, well, you can hear his rich bass voice in attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean, Splash Mountain, and It's a Small World. Number 4. Giant legs. One of the most popular food items at the Disney theme parks are the giant turkey legs, which got their start at Walt Disney World in the early 90s. A Frontierland food cart in Magic Kingdom was the first to serve the giant 1.5-pound piece of meat. Well, the myth that's been circulating since around 2010 is that these turkey legs are actually emu and not turkey. The myth picked up steam in March of 2017 when actor Zachary Levi, voice of Flynn Rider from Tangled, brought it up in an interview on Conan O'Brien's Late Night Show. Well, it turns out this is not true, and the meat is in fact turkey. Emus are a pretty large bird.
Oh, they look lovely, June!
They're actually the second largest next to the ostrich, and the turkey legs in the park are big, but they are not emu big. Apparently, an emu leg would be 8 times larger than a turkey leg. And Andrew Zimmerman from Travel Channel's Bizarre Foods said that emu has the consistency of a turkey leg, but the flavor of roasted veal. Now, if you've tried a turkey leg, you'd know that they taste more like ham, and that's because they're cured with salt and slow-cooked in a smoker. It's a similar process to cooking ham. You might also be thinking that the turkey legs look much larger than a Thanksgiving turkey. And you're right. Usually the turkeys we eat on Thanksgiving are typically smaller because they're the female turkeys. Male turkeys, the toms, are much larger, and turkey legs served at the theme parks come from these male turkeys. They're about 30 to 40 pounds in size, so yeah, that's a big turkey. Number 3. Sound off. Once the gates close and all the guests leave, have you ever wondered what the Disney parks are like at night? Well, one myth is that the music never shuts off and the rides never shut down, especially It's a Small World. Well, after the last guests exit the ride, the cast members do their checks, then fully power down the attractions. This includes shutting off all the music in the queue, on the ride, and powering down any animatronics and animation. So no, it's not true that the rides never shut down. But there are instances where it could operate at night. Once the parks close, there's a whole separate team of cast members who work the third shift. They prep the park for the next morning. So a ride with animatronics like It's a Small World or Pirates of the Caribbean may operate at night if these cast members are doing maintenance checks or repairs on the ride. In terms of the music loops that play throughout each of the lands, well, that stays on a little longer. Disney maintenance teams don't turn the music off until every single guest has left the park. Usually the music is shut off very late at night, and it turns on again very early in the morning. So really, it may only be off for a few hours, but it does in fact turn off. Number 2. Trash sucks. With thousands of people visiting the Disney theme parks every single day, there's gonna be a lot of trash. Whether it's Disneyland or Walt Disney World, a trash can is never more than 30 steps away. But have you ever wondered where the trash goes once it's placed in one of the thematically appropriate trash cans? Well, the myth is that the trash at Disney is connected to a vacuum system underground that sucks everything up. And there is truth to this, but there's also a big misconception. The system known as AVAC, the Automated Vacuum Assisted Collection System, can only be found at Magic Kingdom in Florida. You won't find it at Disneyland. Cast members at Disneyland deal with trash the old-fashioned way, by collecting it on stage, then placing it into compactors backstage. Believe it or not, cast members at Magic Kingdom in Florida also have to collect the trash on stage, and this is where the major misunderstanding comes from. A lot of people seem to believe that individual trash cans on stage at Magic Kingdom have a vacuum under them, allowing the trash to be sucked into these underground tubes. But that's not the case. Once the trash is backstage, it's placed into one of 17 collection points around the park. Every 15 minutes, the trash is sucked through 20-inch tubes at speeds of 60 miles per hour. It's then led into the compactor located behind Splash Mountain. If the onstage trash cans were connected to a vacuum system, then they could never be moved, which logistically doesn't make much sense. But just think, trash at 60 miles an hour is pretty fast. Almost as fast as Test Track. Number 1. The Lego Castle. At the end of Magic Kingdom's Main Street in Walt Disney World sits Cinderella Castle. This 189-foot structure soars over the Florida theme park with 27 spires decorating this Disney centerpiece. Well, the longtime Disney myth with Cinderella Castle is that they are able to dismantle and remove the spires to protect it from hurricanes. I mean, it would be really cool if the spires came apart like a Lego set. And although Disney is a magical place where anything's possible, this isn't true. Anything built at Walt Disney World needs to follow Florida building codes, which ensures structures can withstand heavy wind and rain. Cinderella Castle specifically was designed to withstand winds of 110 miles an hour, but some sources say it's 125 miles an hour. Either way, it can and has sustained heavy hurricane winds in the past, so there'd be no need to remove the castle's spires to protect it from wind and rain, since it was built to withstand wind and rain. Also, logistically, this myth wouldn't make much sense, since storms can approach the Florida area very quickly. They'd need to set up the famous castle crane, take down the spires, then store them somewhere safe. That's not a quick job. So no matter the weather, rain or shine, Cinderella Castle always stays in one piece. So those are just some of the secrets and myths about the Disney theme parks that aren't true. Were you aware of any of these secrets and myths? And what's one thing you've heard someone say about the Disney theme parks that is completely false and not true? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below to start a conversation, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. If you have any videos from the Disney parks that you'd like to share with us to be used in future videos, follow the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Click the TPM icon on the screen to subscribe to this channel, and check out some of these other videos which we're sure you'll like.